To some, conscription was seen as a patriotic duty, but some Americans viewed the draft as unfair and others were opposed to the war effort. By the spring of 1917, the U.S. Army totaled 135,000 men. Drafts for the war were easy to organize. Draft boards would register men and then exempt certain men from fighting the war. Initially, men between the ages of 21 and 31 were required to register. Later, registration included those aged 18 through 45. The two-sided registration cards asked for a variety of information, such as date of birth, place of birth, father's place of birth, address of next of kin, eye and hair color, and race. On June 5, 1917, 9.5 million men were registered. German submarine warfare was the largest problem for Wilson's administration. Germany would sink submarines around Great Britain without any warning. On May 7, 1915, while off the Irish coast en route to Liverpool, England, from New York City, the British luxury liner Lusitania was sunk without warning by the German submarine U-20. In all, 1,198 passengers died, including 128 Americans. Wilson issued a strong warning to Germany in a series of diplomatic notes. In mid-August 1915, another British ship, the Arabic, was sunk, injuring 2 Americans on board. Wilson informally threatened to cut off diplomatic relations with Germany, which then pledged to leave passenger ships alone. Originally, Wilson had run for re-election promising that he would keep America out of the war. However, war supporters believed that America would eventually be involved in the war because the war would evoke feelings of manliness, patriotism, and militarism that the country desired. Events such as the sinking of the Lusitania made war supporters' claims more justified.
Demobilization is the act of changing from a war basis to peacetime basis, which includes the disbanding of troops. Demobilization of the troops began in November 1918. The process was very disorganized and ineffective, but nonetheless, by June 1919, 350,000 troops returned home. By September 1919, only 40,000 American troops remained in Europe. In December 1918 alone, the Army discharged over 600,000 of the men then stationed in the United States. On November 11th, the war was costing the United States about $50 million a day. Every day's delay in demobilization added to the burden of taxation required to finance the Army's upkeep. Until the Army of Occupation had come home, and until the U.S. Army had disposed of its huge properties in Europe, demobilization did not officially end. Portions of the occupation army remained in the Rhine until 1923. Well before that date, the Army disposed of its European properties. Except for some 850,000 tons of artillery, road-making machinery, and other heavy equipment, which it shipped home. The United States was clearly part of a total war. It had to remove hundreds of thousands of troops from the battlefield every month. America invested a large amount of troops into the war effort, as well as a lot of money. The war effort cost the American people about $50 million every day, and the factories were producing large amounts of war supplies as well. The demobilization represents the ending of the total war state to a state of peace. Yankee boys come through.